Howdy guys, Bookie Laura here. I've been part of the Booktube community now for probably around 18 months and I absolutely love it. I love taking part in everything. One thing that always kind of really gets to me is that I watch a lot of other channels and they make me feel, or they make it feel like you need a lot of money or fancy stuff to be able to get started on Booktube. I feel like I do Booktube in a really cheap way. So I wanted to talk you through how I keep Booktube super cheap. Now I think that the first thing that's really important if you're looking to start Booktube, you're obviously thinking about the equipment that you're going to use. It's really easy to get sucked into thinking that you need really good lights and you need a good camera and you need all these different things. I'm fortunate enough that actually I already owned a camera that I use to record them. I know a lot of booktubers out there that use their cameras on their phones to record their videos. And I say just do it. Nowadays, cameras on phones are really good quality anyway. I don't need to feel like it's such good quality, it's like I'm there with you, just good enough quality that it's not distracting, and that can be achieved so easily without getting a really expensive camera. So tip number one, don't buy a fancy expensive camera. One of the things that I was most concerned about when I started filming was lighting. How on earth am I going to get good enough lighting? I live in Britain. The weather's rubbish. It's always dark and dreary. I watch some videos and it's so dark that it seems really grainy, and I was eager not to make that mistake. So the first thing you can do quite easily is natural lighting. I'm sure in a lot of places this works really well. For me, I have to film most of my videos at night and I live in Britain where it's dreary. So I literally have a table lamp literally right here next to my camera propped up. I will show you. You'll be amazed at the high quality equipment that I use. Here is my setup. This pot of couscous here with a tissue box on top of it is where I prop my camera, and next to it I have a lamp on a pot of rice shining in my face. See, who needs a tripod and who needs a fancy light? I can just prop up my lamp on a pot of rice. My first way of keeping Booktube cheap is to realise that you don't need fancy equipment. All you need is a camera and some light. Thankfully, Mother Nature provides us with light, and cameras are readily available on most phones nowadays. The second major expense that I think people could be easily sucked into is to buy and use really expensive editing software. I don't. I use Windows Movie Maker, which came for free on my computer. And actually it does everything that I want it to do. I don't need anything fancy. When I'm looking at Booktube, I just want to see people talk about books. In fact, the only thing that I really use the editing software for is to cut out all those really long pauses where I'm just staring into the distance trying to think of what to say. So I don't spend a lot of time editing. You just need something to chop it up so that you don't end up with a 35-minute video filled with all that jazz. So don't buy expensive editing software. There are free ones out there that you can use. Now my third and final tip for how to keep Booktube cheap is probably the biggest one that I think when people are starting Booktube, you watch it and you think, how on earth am I ever going to afford to buy all of those books? So my third tip is don't. That's it. Do not get sucked into thinking that you need to do massive book hauls of new books, because actually I watch those and I think, do people actually read all of these books? Booktube for me is about talking about books. It's not about having big piles of books to show off. Although I enjoy those videos, I only enjoy them when I know the person is going to read them. I don't just want to see a big pile of books. I can do that in my bookshop. So as well as avoiding book hauls, massive book hauls of new books that I'm not going to read, I work really hard to try and pick my books up super cheap. So I very, very rarely buy new books. If I do, I'm always looking out for those that are on offer. So main sources for my books are secondhand bookshops and eBay. eBay is fantastic for secondhand books because actually I'm not in this to have an amazing collection of books behind me that look beautiful. Whilst that would be lovely, I'm not made of money. I have a small house. And I just want to read them. I'm not that interested in them being pretty. I'm interested in them for reading the story. So don't buy tons of books, would be my advice. So those are just a few tips from me about how I Booktube and keep it cheap. I know that there will be people out there that do things really differently. There'll be people out there that have bought editing software or bought fancy equipment and love it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that these are some of the ways that I tried to keep the cost down for me. If you've got any more tips on how to keep it cheap, please leave them below because I'm just tight. I am like the most frugal person that I know and I'm always looking for ways to save money. So leave your tips, please. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.